guys are actually the ones who found Elizabeth. When you first saw her, what was going through your mind?
You know, originally we didn't realize who it was that we were speaking to. After you know, quite a bit of just kind of a street side interview with her and Mitchell and Barzee, we kind of started putting two and two together. You know, and as we were speaking to them, that's when we realized who we had.
And what were they saying that tipped you off?
You know, they were saying many things like where they were from wasn't adding up, that they were messengers of God, that, you know, that they were just traveling, that type of thing. It just didn't make sense. Their stories just didn't make sense.
Yeah, some of their answers were not consistent with each other, and we separated when we first got there, and that's what we do. And their answers just were not adding up to us, so we know we had something. We didn't know what for sure at the time, but then we kind of started piecing it together a little bit more.
And was Elizabeth reluctant to speak?
She was kind of being a little intimidated, if you will, or controlled. Mr. Mitchell was trying to dominate the conversation. That's when we made sure we separated everybody with a little bit of distance. She was still a little reluctant to give us the complete information that we wanted, the truth, until almost 45 minutes had passed.
Wow, and one of you basically said, "Are you Elizabeth Smart?"
Yes, we did. At the point that we realized who it was, we asked her, we said, "Are you Elizabeth Smart?" And she was reluctant. She was very scared, very nervous, you know, and understandably so. She was a 14-year-old girl that was being controlled and dominated. But she looked at both of us and said, "If thou sayest." And we're like, "What did you say?" And she said, "If thou sayest." And, you know, and kind of gave nonverbal cues and shaking her head that, yeah, that's who I am. And you could see she was very relieved at that point.
This was just prior to her going in the car, because we were taking her down to the office, and we said, just for your family's sake, for your sake, just tell us who you are. And I've never heard those words before personally. And I think I looked at Bill and the other officer, another officer, Officer Rasmussen that was there, and it's like, we'll take that as a yes.
And I know you guys have talked about this before, and I've heard it before, but even hearing it now, I have chills. I mean, what was it like when you realized you have found this girl who's been missing, who so many people were concerned was dead?
You know, I think, and maybe I can speak for everybody for a moment, we were there to do our job, and we did our job, hopefully. It turned out well for everybody. There wasn't really time for that excitement thing, because that set in a little bit later on as time went on. But at the time, we just, you know, made sure we got the job done thoroughly. We called Salt Lake, they're on their way. We called Mr. Smart, he's on his way. We wanted to make sure the job was done and professionally done.
And isn't it odd, though, because when you guys did find her, all of these calls started coming in from 911 going, "Hey, I saw these guys. These were at a party. These guys were at a party last week." What was it like for you to know that they've basically been hiding in plain sight this whole time? You
know, that was kind of a surreal moment when we realized who they were. You know, it's one of those things where, you know, you can question all you want. They ask, well, what kind of special police work did you guys do to solve who it was? And we did basic police work. It was nothing special. We just stuck to the stories, trying to confirm who they were, and the way it turned out was kind of a very powerful thing for the family and for her.
And a powerful day for the family today as well.
Correct.
Seems like such a long time ago, doesn't it?
It does.
So much has happened. All right, let's go ahead and send it back to you, Brent.
Thank you. This is the information that we're getting from the federal courthouse in downtown Salt Lake City. Elizabeth has now finished her statement. Again, this was not testimony. It wasn't a Q&A with prosecuting and defense attorneys. It was simply a statement. She was able for the first time in court to speak from her heart and to address Brian David Mitchell and to say, among other things, "I know what you did." That testimony is now finished. We're told the prosecution is now telling the judge that they want Brian David Mitchell put away for life. Life in prison is the request from the prosecution.